You know that feeling when you feel like you're doing everything in your business, you're consistent, you're posting, you're planning, but somehow the growth is feeling slow and your goals feel still out of reach, no matter how dedicated you are and how consistent you are. I used to feel that for a long time, and I couldn't quite name the feeling because I did have some results. But overall, in my business, something just felt a little off. I remember sitting at my desk and I was looking at my content creation plan, my marketing plan, and I was noticing more and more resistance. I was using a lot of I have, I should, I must, and I was having less energy than before, despite really putting all my heart into my business. So the actual problem behind is I was falling into the one size fits it all advice, meaning that most of us are building business in a way that it's totally different from the way we're actually supposed to operate. And that's why I was feeling such a disconnect between all the effort that I was putting out and the results I was getting. So it wasn't about more effort, it was about alignment. But it wasn't about any kind of alignment. When I found out about human design a few years ago, everything started to click. I had the biggest aha moment in my life, and I felt so seen. I felt so validated, and no other business strategy has ever felt so right since I found out about human design. The reason for that is because when you come back to your actual energetic blueprint that you're supposed to be using, everything starts to flow in your business. And that's what I want to share with you today, how to find your own energetic blueprint and how to work with that to expand your business, attract clients easily, and just growth like way more effortlessly than ever before. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which is the strategy that you need to follow. And I'm also going to give you practical tips that you can implement as of today to start completely changing everything in your business and get back into alignment and more flow. So if you're new here, welcome or welcome back to Women Think Bigger. I'm Sonia, and in this channel, I talk about business, but from a holistic approach. We use mindset, energy work, body wisdom, and business strategy, all of that to help you create your dream business and sustain it. So if these are topics that resonate, don't forget to subscribe and stick around. So human design is a system that combines astrology, the chakra system, and other ancient wisdom to help you basically map your own unique energy and help you create a business that really is fitting your way of operating, your talents, your gifts, in a way that is so much more in alignment with who you truly are. So it will show you how you're naturally made to build decisions, take actions, grow your business, all of that without burning out. So basically, every person has a different energy type. There are 5 of them. So we have the manifestors, the projectors, the manifesting generators, the generators, and the reflectors. So the key is that when you know how to work with your energy, things that used to feel hard, such as visibility, consistency, attracting clients, all of that becomes way lighter. And it really shows us that the path to alignment is going to look different for everyone. For some people, it's going to require more structure. For other people, it's going to require more acting on their intuitive nudges. Is really a system that allows you to be fully yourself and not just follow one business strategy that might not actually work for you. If you don't know yet what your human design type is, I have a link below so you can find it out. It's completely free. You just need to enter information about your birth date, location, time of birth, and it will give you a lot of information, but just for the purpose of this video, just find out your energy type. So before we start exploring which is your energy type and how to work with it, I just want to make one important disclaimer. It might take you some time to understand the information, process it, because before you just jump to the way you were operating before to operating on your human design system. When I first found out I was a manifestor, I didn't immediately change everything in my business. It would have been a bit overwhelming, but really, I took some time to experiment, and you'll see that when you start taking small actions and you start seeing results, this is where your mind, your nervous system is going to feel so much more comfortable on leaning more and more into the energy type. So this is an important point to consider. Just be gentle with yourself. It's okay to go little by little. And I promise you, you'll see some results because everyone feels usually very seen, and it usually helps so many people understand the why things were not working out. But again, just go step by step and it will all work out. So now that you know which is your energy type, you can go straight to the chapter that is for you and see what are the practical guidance that you can implement as of today. So if you are a manifestor or just found out that you were a manifestor, you are meant and designed for freedom. This is your key energetic blueprint. You are an initiator and someone that is always creating things. And as a manifestor myself, knowing how I was supposed to operate completely changed the way I was seeing business, because for manifestors, freedom is so important and is not really taught in the classical business strategy. First of all, as manifestors, we are designed more to create based on our intuition or gut feeling. And most of the marketing strategy are going to be telling you more about see where there is a problem in the environment, in the community, and then create an offer that is going to fix that problem. And it was so difficult for me because as manifestor, I didn't feel like really creating something because I saw a problem. It was more always an internal process. And we crave that freedom. We really need to express ourselves. And that's why one of the key things as a manifestor is understanding that we work in cycles. We work in cycles of creation and cycles of rest. And that honestly used to scare me because I didn't know how to navigate those rest cycles. I didn't know if I had to rest 1 day, 2 days, a week. But basically, the key for a manifestor is understanding that you need some freedom in every sense of the business. And you also need freedom in your schedule. That's why when you're constantly producing and not resting or just disconnecting from the business, you don't have the key inputs that actually makes the manifestor's strength. Like you don't receive the gut feeling, the intuition that you're supposed to create something, and it can just leave you very drained. So basically, the more you honor those cycles, the more you create impact. And you need to think of freedom as your key foundational roadmap for everything you create. You need to have freedom to create new offers. You need to have freedom to disconnect when you need. So automation is going to be really important. And you need freedom as well to switch project if you feel like you don't have the energy anymore. So here are 3 practical tips that you can start exploring as a manifestor. The first one is going to be work in, as I said, in cycles and batch your content so you can then have time to rest. As a manifestor, you'll see that sometimes you have a lot of energy, a lot of ideas, and you can create until midnight for 3 days in a row. This is very normal for manifestors. So we need to jump in that energy of going all in. And the thing we just don't need to forget is that what we create needs to be sustainable. Because since we need to disconnect sometimes and rest, if we build a business that it's always around showing up, being present, we end up feeling completely drained. So, first practical tip, create in cycles and try to automate everything behind the business. The second thing, which was very, very liberating for me, is give creativity permission first without needing validation. As I was saying before, one of the key things that was blocking me as a manifestor is that usually in business, we're taught to wait and see what is the problem before we need to create. So we're supposed to create offers responding to problems. And why this tip is so important is you need to honor your creativity, your willingness to create something different or your gut feeling that something needs to be created before people actually validate that it's a good idea. And this can be really challenging because when you launch something, when you get your message out there, when you create your first course, you have actually no idea if someone is going to buy it. But the magic is that this is totally normal for manifestors. The key is we need to honor our creativity first, and then just you'll read maybe like informing in human design for manifestor. What it means is that once it's created, we just need to say it's out there. This is our only job, basically. But when you feel tension in your business, it's maybe because you're constantly taking input from people to say you should create this, or maybe you should do that, or maybe you should do it in this way. And it's going to quiet your creative voice. And at some point, you're going to create something that you were not 100% aligned with. And obviously, it's going to translate in less sales or less magnetism towards your offer. And it's going to just make you feel like very frustrated. And as a manifestor myself, I've really experimented this where I was taking too much noise or too much external input and not creating the offers I really wanted. And this showed in the results I was having. So I promise you that nothing bad is gonna happen. You're not gonna fail. Trust that you have something to create and that the right people will just show up and not the other way around. The third practical tip is work on your self-expression. For manifestors, you'll hear sometimes about centers in the body, like the chakra system. Well, for manifestor, everything related to the throat chakra or throat center, which is voice, words, self-expression, art, is where our power lies. So it doesn't mean you have to become a singer, but it means that you need to honor the importance of using your self-expression in your business. When I started my business, I was using a lot of visuals because my business was very based on design and visual aesthetics. And I was not that much using my voice, my words. I was focused more on the visual part. And I felt as a manifestor that I just wanted to express myself more, but at that time I didn't really have the courage. And once I started doing it, like really the impact was really, really big. And that's because if there is one thing that you can take out of this video is as a manifestor, your voice is your channel to abundance. And when I say voice, I should say more self-expression, but anything that comes from your words, your voice, your art, anything you put out there is your key to abundance. And if you feel like today it's hard for you sometimes to express yourself, to feel fully comfortable with your voice, this is totally normal because as manifestor, we have so much deconditioning to do around people pleasing and just letting ourselves be seen and being okay with our voice. So don't worry about that. But don't forget that somehow it's your channel to abundance. So anywhere in your business where this applies, try to lean more into the self-expression. So if you're interested in diving a little bit more deep and knowing how to work with your energy as a manifestor in business, I created an entire course around it because it's the energy that I know the most, being a manifestor. And I know from lived experience that it can be really difficult to know where to start. And also, manifestors are really rare. It's only 10 to 11% of the population. So we don't really resonate with standard like business strategy. So anyway, if this is that something that is calling to you and you want to really learn more to have more results in your business, the link is in the description in the video. If you are a projector in human design or you just found out that you were a projector, your key energetic blueprint is going to be around invitation. So as a projector, you are what I call the gentle guide. You have so much wisdom, so much insight, and you want to share everything you know from a very caring perspective. And to really share this wisdom that you have with the word, the key is going to be waiting to be invited to do so. So Let me clarify because I think a lot of projectors don't really understand this invitation type. Like it's just waiting around and seeing if someone is going to show up in the business. No, the idea is that it's not a passive strategy. What it means is the key for you as a projector is, and your only job, if you have to take one thing out of this video, is your job is to show yourself, show your offers, basically just making yourself feel seen so people can reach to you like for your knowledge when they need to. So basically this means that, for example, like DMing people or just doing some cold outreach might not be the best strategy because you're meant to be seen, and then people from there are supposed to jump in your energy, interact, and want more of your knowledge, your insights, and your offers. Also, as a projector, your energy is precious and you don't have like a constant energy. This doesn't mean you're not able to work normally, but it means you also need time to create and time to rest. And this is very important to honor because burnout can come when you're just trying to be so consistent without allowing yourself the space to rest and just to reflect on the insights you want to share with people. If you currently don't know exactly right now what to start with, I would say start by sharing what you really care about, what you already know. You don't need to be the expert in your field. Remember that we're always like a few steps ahead of anyone that has started before us. You don't need to be the ultimate expert in your field to share your wisdom. People are just going to look for you, for your energy, for the way you say things, for the way you guide them. So don't worry too much about being the expert. And don't worry too much about being the ultimate trusted figure for something. Your energy and your words are more than enough to attract the right clients. So let's dive into the 3 practical tips for you that you can implement as of today. The first one is focus on attraction marketing. What I mean by that is make it easy for people to find you. It sounds simple, but sometimes we often forget that it's not easy for us to be like contacted or reached out, or sometimes we just go around and we don't really talk about our offers. So for you as a projector, the key is going to be attracting. This doesn't mean being passive. It just means like when you meet people, talk about your offer. When you promote your services, make sure people can ask questions or that they can reach you in some kind of way. So the energy again of attraction is not passive, but it just means like your job is to talk about what you do and then make it easy for people to reach out and connect with you. The second tip is eliminate everything in your business that feels bitter. So anything that is draining you right now, anything that you feel like you should do, you have to, any platform that you don't feel comfortable, just eliminate all of that because it's really important for you to be really satisfied with what you do. This is how you are magnetic. So if you feel that there are things that right now are not really working in your business, just focus on what feels good. It's going to be so much more powerful to focus on a few things that you feel really drawn to rather than trying to stay on all platforms when you're not really comfortable being in those spaces. The third tip is going to be asking for feedback. But careful, it's not the type of feedback to just constantly prove your worth. This is not about asking people whether they think your offers are good enough or whether you have enough knowledge. This is not the type of feedback I mean. I mean that one of your strategies, it can be direct feedback. So for example, you create an offer, you can create a survey to ask people if they have pain points that you would like they would like you, to address, or anything like that, anything related to service, or it can be also indirect feedback. So for example, you're talking to people and you just like in the conversation in your mind identifying like what are the experiences that they struggle with, like what are their biggest challenges. So taking this feedback and then incorporate it in your offers is going to be really beneficial. So again, this is not about proving your worth. Be really careful when you ask for feedback. This is more about integrating the challenges that people have so you can refine your offer and be able to help them even more in a more strategic way. So feedback is really important. And if you don't feel comfortable right now launching a huge survey, just pay attention when you're talking to people and then make yourself a little voice note or just write it down so you'll have more content to work with when you're creating your next offer. So, to sum up, as a projector, a lot of your energy is going to be about attracting the right people. And to do that, focus on things that make you feel good. Focus on being visible. Don't worry about promoting yourself too much because you need for the right people to find you and just like let yourself be seen. If you are a generator or you just found out you're a generator, then your key energetic blueprint is going to be about satisfaction. So, as a generator, you literally are unstoppable when something really leads you up. When you love something, you can move mountains. Generators are known to have a lot of energy, and this is where the problem can arise is that because you have a lot of energy and you're able to respond to a lot of people's requests, it's going to be important to see what really lights you up and what doesn't. Because as a generator, we call the strategy the waiting to respond, which doesn't mean like you're waiting around passively not creating anything. It just means like when you get requests from people, from and it's something that you read online that you feel should be addressed, something that people ask you to do, you need to pause before creating and ask yourself whether it's really aligned with what you love or it's just because you can fix it potentially that you're going to do it. Because if you start responding and creating offers based on what you know you can do, you might end up creating offers that you don't fully love. And this is where you lose a lot of your potential and your energy. So your key is going to be really about discernment and learning that although you have a lot of wisdom, a lot of energy to do so many things, you need to really just follow what leads you up. So for you in business, here are the 3 practical tips that you can implement as of today as a generator. The first tip is going to be auditing your current services and seeing anywhere where you don't feel 100% aligned with what you're offering. Because as a generator, you might have a lot of external simulation from the environment, or maybe, I don't know, you read about a trend in the industry, or someone mentions a pain point in a conversation. And the risk is for you to just create offers for everything and everyone. So the first step you need to take is just audit what you're currently doing and seeing where you're not fully doing what you love, but you're more responding to just what you could do or what service could you provide for that specific problem. So you can really focus on the problems that you feel are really calling to you and the ones that you feel really are aligned with what you love, not just like what you can do. The second tip is going to be to actively listen. So again, because you have so much energy to create so many things, you need to also create space to listen to what you want. And if you're constantly producing, it's going to be hard for you to distinguish what really lights you up, and you can just end up keep on creating content without not having this space to listen to what you could do, which means listening to your own intuition and as well as listening to other people pain points. So create an environment where you have space for you to reflect. Don't just constantly hustle. And also make sure that people can reach out to you easily. Make sure you have conversation with your clients, that you have room basically to take in the information and then seeing what's aligned and then create the offer. If you don't have any room to listen to your clients and their needs, you might just end up creating without necessarily knowing like where you're going or what are the key challenges of your clients. The third practical tip for you is going to be building on momentum. Don't forget that one of your gifts is to create offers in response to what people really need. So you already have this kind of validation. Let's say that your offer is needed or that someone really needs a solution to that problem. So when I say building momentum is don't focus too much on aggressive launches or just like selling too much the solution, because people already know that you can provide a solution to them. So what you need to focus on with this momentum is more having everything automated. So when there is a request, people know how to work with you, and you don't have to constantly do like big launches and aggressive kind of like marketing, because your gift is already that you create in response to what people need. So it's very likely that someone is going to buy. So focus more on automation, focus more on the momentum that you're creating, focus on making things easy for people to come in and work with you, and then have a system that is automated so you can also rest sometimes, versus investing all your time in creating marketing content when you know already what people need because they have told you and because you have created an offer specifically based on that. So basically, as a generator, don't forget to do what feels right for you. And don't forget to take some time to listen to your own intuition, to rest, and also to address your client's needs. It's going to help you build like really offers that can magnetize people and that are really impactful. So just make some room and not just be always in creation mode. If you're a manifesting generator or you just found out that you were a manifesting generator, your key energy blueprint is going to be the flow. So if you're a manifesting generator, you have so much potential and you are likely multi-talented, multi-passionate. And ultimately, when a manifesting generator is lit up with what they do, they can do anything. And I say this because I know a lot of manifesting generators in my life, and it's just mind blowing what they can do when they're in the right energy, because they're very, very skilled and very multi passionate, and they also have a lot of energy usually. So it's likely that if you're a manifesting generator, you don't need as much rest as the other energy types. Although it doesn't mean you don't need to rest, but you usually have this really like creative life force within you, and you're able to take on multiple projects. So you're very skilled, and that's why your key roadmap is going to be flowing with all the creative ideas, with all the projects that are calling to you. So the key word is flow. As a manifesting generator in business, it's very likely that you cannot really stick to one niche, and it's actually not even good for you. The thing that you need to do is just create different offers based on what you want to create and what you love for different audiences. So forget about finding a niche, because I think for you as a manifesting generator, it's going to create a lot of resistance. It just kills your creativity. But just think of one audience, one offer, and that's going to help you create multiple offers with multiple audiences without needing to niche down or just restrict yourself to one specific project or audience. And a mistake that you can make as a manifesting generator in business is thinking that your flexibility is inconsistent. It's actually the opposite. You need to experiment, you need different things for your magnetism to be at its peak. So if you start restricting yourself too much to one thing, your creative spark is not going to be as powerful. And this is something that people are going to feel in your energy. You're going to attract less because you're not giving yourself the creative freedom that you actually really need to shine. So the 3 practical tips for you as a manifesting generator in business are going to be: first, experiment and give yourself room for experiment. So this doesn't mean that you cannot have like one business strategy at all and you're just figuring out every day. But it does mean that once you have settled for a strategy that feels right for you, give yourselves space to experiment on top of that strategy. So if you feel drained in your business right now, it might be that things are being too rigid for you. So look anywhere in your business where you just have only one way of doing things or it's feeling a little rigid. This is your key and your secret to create more flow in your business. Experimenting means testing new marketing strategies, testing new offers, just creating something that is completely different from your main offer. Experimentation is not instability for you, it's a creative life force. So just think of it as your gift, and you'll see that once you land on the right idea, because if you just restrict yourself to one thing, you may not get the results that you want because you're not letting yourself creating the offer that is actually going to drive like the most traffic and sales in your business. The second tip is adjustments when needed. I know a lot of manifesting generators, and one of the key things that sometimes make them feel drained in their business is they don't know when to switch from one project to the other when they start feeling less excited about, because they feel guilty of not being consistent. And this guilt can come from the fact that people perceive you as inconsistent because you have so many things going on. So then you feel shame quitting a project, and it's actually your biggest liberation. So when you feel like a project is not exciting you anymore, it's just your signal that there's something more exciting, more impactful, and with a potential, for example, for more money that wants to come in. So you need to make space for it. So think of it as not obviously quitting, but just getting your energy back to create something bigger and to create something with more impact. And the moment you let yourself be fully transparent with what you're feeling, you'll feel so much more liberated in your business. And that's why also creating offers that are too rigid, where you cannot really basically exit in any way, shape, or form, is going to leave you drained on the long term, because you need to keep on experimenting. So let yourself quit. I shouldn't even say quit. Let yourself just change project when it doesn't feel exciting. And if you feel shame around it, just think like there is something much bigger and much more impactful that is waiting for be created, and I need the energy for that. And the third tip is actually related to the previous one, but is that your passion is your code to really be successful. When a manifesting generator is lit up with what they do, everyone feels drawn to them. And then I'm sure that if you are a manifesting generator, it has happened to you that you launch a project you're so excited about, and you don't even have to market it sometimes because your energy is so big that people are drawn to you, and they follow you and they admire you and they respect you and they want to be in your energy. And that's the power of the passion. And we could say it's important for all the energy types to be lit up by what they do. But for manifesting generators, because you switch projects and you have a different energy for each one, it's so important to just focus on the one that you're really passionate about. Because if you just change project but it doesn't feel 100% aligned, you won't necessarily get the results, and it's going to make you feel guilty of having changed projects or having changed course or redirect or anything like that. So your passion is your fuel, but it's also what magnetizes people to you. So always give yourself the space to flow in your business, be a little bit less rigid, and just think as this space or this transition as a step for something bigger that is going to take you way higher than you even thought you could go. If you are a reflector or just found out that you are a reflector, your key energetic blueprint is going to be all about harmony. So as a reflector, you're someone that is very intuitive, but you're someone that needs time to connect with yourself, to find clarity, to find alignment. So it's going to be really important to reframe what you know about timing and how you give yourself time to make decisions. And in a world where there's so much hustle culture, where every business strategy is calling us to act like quickly on everything as a reflector, you really need to give yourself time to find clarity and to just give yourself space to make decisions. So it's totally normal that you work in cycles. You're not supposed to constantly produce, constantly make decisions. Harmony is going to be really important for you. And it's going to be important to be in environments where people support that and not in business strategy that is constantly rushing you because it's completely against your energy and it doesn't feel very harmonious. So here are the 3 practical tips as a reflector in business that you can implement as of today. And the first one is going to be aligning with your own rhythm. So as I was saying before, it's really important for you not to just plan content creation or marketing plan based on a random calendar. It's going to be really important for you to lean on what feels good to you. So whether you are more in a rest phase or whether you feel more creative, don't just set timing in advance and launch in advance. Just do it when it feels right for you. This is where it's going to be the most impactful and have the most results. It's going to be when it's your own right timing. And anything that feels pushed or just constrained or just too much planned in advance is going to make you drained. So really follow your own rhythm and let yourself lean into this intuitive feeling that you have of when it's the right time. The second tip is going to be creating a harmonious environment in your space or in your business. So we cannot always choose everyone that we work with. But for you, it's so important to be with people that inspire you, that light you up, because any environment that is not very harmonious, where there's conflict, stress, tension, is going to take a toll on your emotional state. And you really need to prioritize harmony as a key business strategy and not just a nice to have. So, again, it's so important for you to be very aware of where you spend your energy, with who you spend your energy, and seeing in your business if there are things that feel like very restrictive or tense or they're stressing you, and let them go to create more harmony in your business. The third thing is going to be creating automated systems, because since your intuition is really one of your biggest gifts, when you make time to listen to what you feel called to create, once you create it, it's great to have automated systems so then you can go and disconnect or be more in a rest cycle again without feeling the pressure to constantly produce. So automated systems such as emails or offers that they pretty much sell themselves is going to be great for you because it takes off the tension from the urge to constantly create or be present or showing up in an energy when you actually don't have it. So don't forget to lean in those types of system, and when your intuition is calling you, take the time, create the offer, and then find a way to make it flow, to make it reachable for people even when you're not 100% present in your business. So as a reflector, really your intuition is your gift, and working with your own rhythms is going to be the key to creating harmony. And harmony is what magnetizes people towards you. It's what creates so many impactful results in your business. So don't don't be scared to really fully be you and fully lead into your own rhythm. And you can also like really look at your environment and start like little by little, just like eliminating things that are draining you, that are stressing you, so you can really focus on your creations and on having the most impact for your clients. So I really hope this video gave you some practical tips to start learning and understanding the word of human design with your energy. Obviously, there is so much more to know about human design, but I think for business, at least knowing your energy type and start some of the deconditioning of the old rules, the old way of chasing success and operating is very freeing and is very liberating. So let me know in the comments like which is your energy type and which is the tip that resonated the most for you. I'd love to hear your comments and I really hope to see you in another video.